welcome to day 2 of your clay camp. And today we're going to be creating a project with a product called Celluclay, which is kind of like a mix between paper mache and air dry clay. And we're going to be creating a sign today, either with your name or a word that you would like to spell out, something kind of similar to this one. This one's quite large. We're going to make one a little bit smaller, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's make sure we have all the supplies we need before we get started. All right, welcome back campers to day 2 of your clay camp. Today's project is going to be really fun. We're going to be using a material that you probably have never used. It's called Celluclay. So it's kind of a mix between paper mache and clay. It's like very finely ground down paper with glue added to it. And we're going to be creating a sign that you can hang up. So you can either pick a word that you would like to display, like love, peace, art, or you can create your name. So I did this sample one, which is my son's name. I still need to finish painting the background, but you can kind of see what it looks like when it's dry. And we're gonna make these kind of 3D looking letters. Don't feel like you have to do a word this long. My son just happens to have a really long name. So let's look at your kit. Make sure you have all the supplies before we get started. In your kit, you should have a plastic bag of the Celluclay, which we're actually gonna leave in the bag for this project. You should have a couple pieces of cardboard, a couple of pieces of wire, which are going to be used at the very end after it's dry, after it's painted, so you have a way to hang it on the wall. And then you have a tongue depressor, large popsicle stick, a skewer stick, and a paintbrush. And the additional materials that you're going to need today is you're going to need a cup of water, preferably in like a measuring cup, something that's easy to pour. And then you're going to want to keep that cup of water or in a bowl somewhere nearby, because you're going to need a little bit of water for smoothing, just like you did with the air dry clay. Another thing you're also going to need is a pencil and possibly a black or dark colored marker. So the first thing you want to do is decide, am I going to create my name or am I going to do a word? You have 2 boards to work from. So you can either do 2 short words, or if you have a short name like Ben with only 3 letters, you could probably even maybe fit 4 if you go really small. Or if you have a long name like my son Quinlan has 7 letters, you could put them side by side like this, and you'll just need a piece of tape, and you'll want to tape it on the back and on the front so it stays together. And then once the Celluclay dries, it'll become very solid right there in that middle. So we want to actually draw the word or your name out first so we know exactly where to put the Celluclay. So I'm actually going to show you what I'm talking about on paper because it's a little bit easier to see on the camera versus on cardboard. So let's pretend this is my cardboard, okay? So if this is my cardboard, okay, and it's really hard to see pencil, so you would actually draw in pencil. I'm going to draw in marker just so you can see it better on the camera. So if this is your cardboard and you wanted to do the word art, that's going to be my sample word today, excuse me. You could start off by and you would do this in pencil, obviously, so you can erase easily. So I would just write my letters, just single lines, nice and small lines, to make sure that all of your letters fit. Right, and I have a little bit of space right here, so I would maybe move my R over a little bit because I would be normally doing this in pencil so I can erase. And then you can just kind of start making these thicker letters. And then you would erase any lines that you don't need. I just wanted to make sure I did it with marker so you could see it really good on the camera. You would do this with pencil, so it wasn't so confusing to see with all these lines. So then I would erase my pencil lines right there. So this is the area that you're going to be putting all of the Celluclay right here, okay? No need for you to color it in. I just wanted to give you an idea of where you're going to be putting things and how to draw it out. So you want to draw this out first on your cardboard. And you can draw in pencil on the cardboard. It is visible. It's just really hard to see on the camera because they're so similar in color. So I drew mine out first on the cardboard in pencil. And then I just outlined it in Sharpie so you could see it really well. So you could leave yours in pencil, or you could outline it in a darker marker if it's easier for you to see. But this is exactly where I'm going to get started. So I have my word, or maybe it's your name. Everybody's going to be different. It's up to you, right? We're all unique. We all have different ideas. And then we're going to get our Celluclay. Okay, and we want to leave this in the bag because it actually creates a lot of dust when you start mixing it. And it's really important that you only add a little bit of water at a time. A suggestion would be get a small bowl, take just a little bit of it out, just so you do have a little bit of extra. Okay, now I'm going to start adding water. This is going to kick up a little bit of dust, just so you know. I'm going to add a little bit of water in here. Don't tip it over. And then I'm going to close it up as much as I can with just a little tiny bit left in the bag so the air can escape. And then I'm going to kind of use the bag to, and it's nice and noisy, right? To get it to mix. And add a little bit more. So this is how you're going to mix it. I'm going to actually take it out of the bag just so you can see the consistency a little bit better, but you should mix it all in the bag. Come out. Woo. I'm going to leave a little bit in there. I don't think I'm going to use all of this today. Okay, so you can see it's very dry and dusty looking still. So I'm going to put more water in, and like I said, do this in the bag. Unless you have a parent's help and they think it's better to do it in the bowl, take a fork. You don't have to put your hands in it if you don't want to. And like I said, it does kick up a little bit of dust, but you're just doing this one project, so it should be okay. It's non-toxic, so don't worry too much. It's just paper and a little bit of dry glue. And it's going to start to turn to a little bit of a darker gray. And once it looks all about the same color, right? Mine is a little bit too goopy. That little bit of extra that we kept out. So I'm going to add a little bit. Now I'm going to just use my hands because I really want you to see how sticky it should be. Now, it's not the end of the world if you add too much water. Water does evaporate. So if yours is just way too mushy and watery, all you have to do is just leave it in the bowl, kind of poke some holes in it with your fingers like this, right? Kind of like little craters. And then you'll just have to leave it out for a couple hours and come back. The water, some of the water will evaporate, and then it'll be a little bit easier to work with. You want it to be sticky, but not watery, if that makes sense. All right, so I've been mixing this in the bowl. You're mixing it in the bag. So once you feel like it's really mixed in with the water, you want to stick your hand in there and kind of feel it, and it's going to feel kind of weird because it's really like squishy and mushy like mud. You just want to make sure it's not too watery. Like I said, if it seems too mushy and too watery, you can put some in a bowl, create some craters, and leave it out for a couple hours. It's not the end of the world if you added too much water. You just want to be able to pick it up and see how it's sticking a lot to my hand. It does have glue in it, okay? So it is going to stick somewhat, but if it's like totally covering your hand like mud, then you probably added too much water. And that's okay because it happens. It happened to me the first time too. So I think the one thing that students have told me that is like the weirdest thing about working with this material is when you're using your hands more than your tools, it starts to dry. So think about when glue dries on your hand, how it kind of hardens and then your hands start to get kind of stiff. It's gonna do that same kind of thing. So it feels really weird. So if it's too weird for you, then just wash your hands every so often to get some of the glue off. So to get started, we're gonna do our letters first. So when I created this one, I filled in the space of where I drew my letters. And then after I was completely done with all the letters, then I added a really, really thin layer of the Celluclay on the background to kind of firm everything up and for it to look consistent. So this is what it looks like when it's dry. See how it's kind of like rough around the edges? Okay, so I'm gonna take my tongue depressor and I'm gonna kind of form a little, it's not really a coil, but you just wanna kind of build up a little bit. Kind of almost like a French fry kind of thickness. And then I'm gonna put it right on top of my letter. And you wanna decide kind of how thick you're gonna go. I'm only doing 3 letters, so I could do pretty big 3D with them. You can kind of see it on the side here. If you're doing a long word, like I did with my son's name, or if your name's really long, then go a lot smaller. And you can easily just stretch this out once it's on it with your fingers like this. And don't worry about if you can still see your marker or your pencil lines because we're gonna be painting it anyway. I'm just using that as my guide, right, for the shape. And then I can kind of use my fingers to flatten it out, or you can use your tool, right, the tongue depressor. I'm gonna just call it a popsicle stick because I always get tongue-tied when I say tongue depressor. And also don't worry if you get any on the back like this, if you can see that, because we're gonna be putting some on the back anyway. This is what we call the messiest project in camp. So make sure you're working somewhere where you have permission to make a big mess. So you want to try your best to get it kind of the same height all the way through. You can always come back to it. Like I have a little bit of a gap right here, but that's okay. I want to get more of my Celluclay down on my artwork before I really worry about too many perfections. And if it's really super sticky and it's just really hard to work with, like I said, just leave it for an hour or 2 and come back. I know that's kind of frustrating, but it happens. Sometimes we add too much water when we're doing stuff like virtual through video. We don't know exactly how much water to add. There isn't really a measurement for Celluclay per se. I mean, there is, but your bag might have like a tiny bit more than someone else's. Yours might be a little bit more absorbent. It just really depends on how much newspaper they use to create the mix. So see, I'm just filling in the A there. So make sure you can see this really good on the camera. Fill in any gaps. Use your popsicle stick or use your skewer stick, especially if you have like little pointed areas like an A does. Okay, and then you can go back in and fill in any little gaps. My A needs a little bit more right here and a little bit more on the top. And it really smooths nicely with your finger, just like regular clay does. And then if you actually have some that's not super sticky, then that's where the water would come in to kind of help you smooth. Mine is definitely sticky enough that I don't need any extra water. It's really easy to smooth. Okay, so I'm gonna finish off my A here. So this is what you're gonna do for every single letter. Make sure you fill in that whole space that you drew so your letters look just like you're drawing. Use your finger or your tools to smooth it. And the beautiful thing about this material too is once it dries, if you notice a hole that maybe you didn't notice before, you can always add it on, and then, because it's glue, right? It's gonna stick. So if you dry it and before you paint it, you're like, oh, there's a big hole right there I didn't see. Or one letter looks smaller than the other or something like that. You can always add more onto it and just wait for it to dry again before you paint it. See, I'm getting a bunch over here on my cardboard. Totally not a big deal because I'm gonna be putting Celluclay in those spaces also. So you're gonna do this same step for all of your letters. Once you get all of your letters, and then come back to the front. Now there's 2 options here. If you feel like it's too hard to get the Celluclay on the background without messing up your letters, then just walk away for a few hours or till tomorrow and do the background later. Like I said, it's glue. So just make sure that you If you mixed it in a bowl, you put a lid on it so it doesn't dry out. Or if you mixed it in the bag, which most of you should have, you just make sure the Ziploc is closed so it doesn't dry out. And then you can do the background later. Everybody's different. If you want to do it all at the same time, you just have to be careful that you don't mess up all the time that you spent on your letter. So I'm going to take a little bit, and you want it to be pretty flat in the background, or you can make it really bumpy. It's up to you if you want like some kind of cooler texture. You don't need much. And this is where your paintbrush is going to really help out. So I need a little paper towel. I've got a bunch on my fingers. So then I can use my paintbrush, and I'm kind of almost painting with it a little bit. And if you have some bigger paintbrushes, even better. So you can ask around the house, hey, do we have any bigger paintbrushes? But this paintbrush will work just fine too. And you're just gonna kind of smush it. So you get kind of a flatter layer of your Celluclay. And I usually kind of go over the edge because I can always trim it later. So you don't have to worry about it just being super perfect on the square line. So use your fingers, use your popsicle stick, use your brush. Okay, I'm going with the brush now, so just kind of smush it in there, kind of get a nice flat layer. Don't go too high. You want it to be pretty flat with the cardboard so it doesn't take over your 3D letter. You really want your letter to pop off the cardboard. So it's more like a sculpture. And it will stay wet for quite a while. So if you notice an area that doesn't look very good, it's too high, it's too low, you can take some off, you can add. Okay. So now you can see how it's really flat on one side, and then you have your 3D letter. Don't worry about those lines because you're going to cover them up. If you're not crazy about the like corrugated area of the cardboard, you can always push some Celluclay into the side and cover it up like that. I just realized that was off the camera so you couldn't see it very well. So what I did was, here we go. You pushed it into those little holes of the cardboard to fill it in. This is totally up to you. This is a personal choice. If that doesn't bother you, then don't worry about it. But if you want it to really look like a sculpture and you don't want anyone to know that it was done on cardboard, you could fill it in on the edge there. I wouldn't worry about the back because that's going to be hanging on the wall anyway. Okay? So that's all there's to it. So go ahead and do all of your letters and then do the background, or do all of your letters, let it dry for a little bit, and then come back and do your background. It's your choice, depends on how much time you have today. And then after about a full day, maybe 2 days, it just really depends on how thick your letters are. I think this one took, it was probably a day and a half till I could paint it and it was totally dry. So you want it to kind of have this sound, because then it's nice and hard and you can paint it. And the painting part is so much fun. So we're gonna do a little demo for that next. All right, campers, I just wanted to do a quick little introduction of how to mix your paints. These are the paints you're going to be using for all 3 projects: your cupcake, your word or your nameplate, and then also your bowl. You only have your 3 primary colors, but you can make any color of the rainbow with those 3 colors. And then of course you have your white to make things lighter and your black to make things darker. So in order to mix your paints, you want to make sure you have a plate, like a paper plate or a plate that you can easily wash, or my personal favorite is like an old container from like to-go food. So this is from like a to-go salad from a while ago. I love holding on to these because they have lids, and then I can mix my paints, and if I have to step away, I can put the lid on and my paints won't dry out. So I just want to show you how to mix a couple of colors so you kind of have a better idea of how to do that. This one is already painted. So I do want to show you at the end how to put the wire in as well. but I just want to show you how to mix a couple of different colors first, and then I'm going to paint them because my art is not dry. I'm going to just paint them on here. I just wanted to show you how to mix. So for example, you want to make sure that you cleaned your brush if you used it for your sculpture with the glue. If you have any other brushes in the house, please grab them because that will make the process go a lot faster. You might have some bigger ones that you want to use. If you only have the one that came in your kit, that's great. That's really all you need, but if you have some extras, grab those. Grab a little bowl or a little cup of water for cleaning your brushes, and a napkin or a paper towel just to kind of help dry your brushes as you're cleaning them. That way your paint doesn't get all watery and yucky. So say you want to make purple or violet. We're going to take our red and our blue to mix together. So you never want to cross-contaminate your colors. So you just want to use one brush to pull out the blue and then a separate brush to pull out the red. So I'm going to start with the red. I'm just going to take a little bit out with my brush, put it in wherever I'm mixing. Put that off to the side. Then I'm going to get a little bit of blue. You might be able to just pour it onto your plate, but otherwise just use a brush. Okay, and then you're just going to mix it with the brush until you get the desired shade of purple. Oh, that's actually pretty good. I did pretty good that first try. Look at that nice violet. I say purple and I say violet because it's the same thing, and I just don't want you all to get confused when you hear one or the other. It's the same. So then I have a nice purple base. Okay, so here's a nice purple, but I'm like, wait a minute, I want a darker purple. So that's what we would call a shade. So then I would take just a tiny bit of black, and black goes so far, so just take a little tiny bit. Such a small amount. And then I'm going to get a deeper shade of purple. And then maybe you're like, wait a minute, that is not a deep enough purple. So then just add a little bit more. It's better to go slow and add just a small amount of black at a time and then have to go back and add more, because you can't go back. Black really spreads quick. It's like a nice dark purple now. You can see the difference. So that's what we would call a shade of purple. So you can kind of see the difference. That one's much darker. So you could do that for any of your colors. Okay, so how do we make orange? So that's why I didn't didn't clean my red brush, because I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of red. And you're actually going to need a lot more yellow than you need red. So just keep in mind, I'm going to put a little side to side, that way I can mix them in the middle here. So I'm going to take this yellow, and I'm going to take this red, and I keep them on the side because then you can get the desired orange, right? Whether you want a really light, like more of a yellowy orange, or you want a deeper red orange, you can kind of add slowly. And make sure you really mix it so there's no streaks. And you run out of room on your plate or in your mixing bowl, you might have to clean some of it, but that's okay. That's a pretty nice orange. If you want it to be a little bit more on the red side, just add a little bit more red. So like a pale orange. So if you wanted it to be more on the red side, looks pretty similar, so I could add a little bit more red. If I wanted it to be kind of a deeper shade of orange, then I could just add a little bit of black. So now let's make our green. So same thing, I'm going to take a little bit of blue, and a little bit of yellow. Actually, I already have some yellow. I actually don't need to add any more. So I've got my blue and my yellow, so I'm just going to go ahead and take some yellow and add it to the blue over here. And just mix it until it's not streaky at all. So these three colors, violet, orange, green, these are what we would call secondary colors. So the three we started with are our primary, because you can use those to make any color of the rainbow. And then these three that we just created are our secondaries. So this is a little bit more of a yellowy green, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and test it out. If you want it to be a little bit brighter, let's add a little bit more blue. It's really up to you what colors you want to use for each project. If there's a color that you aren't really sure how to create, you could ask a parent or an older sibling, because maybe they'll know, or you can always look it up on the internet. So before you start painting this sculpture, okay, this one's already half painted, but while it's dry, before you start painting it, get an older sibling or an auntie or an uncle, mom or dad, to help you create some holes in the top corners that you're going to use for the wire. Okay, so I've already created some holes. I have one right here. Oh, you see right there, that little mark. And then I have one over here. Okay, and your parents can help you with this with either a nail or a tack. Anything really small and pointy will work really well. A longer tack is probably perfect. And then once you have a hole, that's where your wire is going to go. But when your sculpture is completely dry and you're ready to hang it up, you would just put your wire through the little hole and put it kind of end to end, and then you can kind of twist it. This wire is super bendy. You could get an adult's help, or you can use pliers, but it's so bendy you could probably easily just use your fingers. If it hurts your fingers, you could use like a little napkin or a paper towel or something. I'm trying to get one to kind of help twist it. Or pliers. Pliers works good too. And then I usually put the twisty part in the back so you can't see it. And then you have a little loop, you can see that a little bit better, to hang it on the wall. And you'll have two, one on each side. So do this last, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't forget to tell you how to do that, because you do have wire in your kit. And I'm gonna just do a little bit of painting, just so you can see kind of how I go about it, especially on this project. So my son said he wanted like a very pale blue. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get a little bit of white. Add just a touch of blue to it. Try not to mix it in with my other colors. Now, out of all your projects, the name sign or name plate is going to be the most absorbent, so you're going to need the most paint for that project. Because it's paper, it's like paper clay, that's why the Celluclay, it's made from paper and glue. So when you put paint on it, it absorbs a lot. So you're gonna need the most paint for this project. And then I would just use the edge of my paintbrush to go around my letters. And you'll kind of see if I paint like this, I'm not getting paint in every little nook and cranny. See, there's a lot of white because it's textured. Okay, you might really like that effect and want to leave it like that. Otherwise, you're just going to need more paint, and you're just going to have to kind of push it in to the little nooks and crannies here. And you'll really see the difference in painting this versus the other two projects, because it really absorbs a lot of paint. You're going to need a lot more paint than you think. You'll probably end up painting your cupcake first, because that will probably dry first, because you're making that one first. But everybody's going to be a little bit different. Okay? So I just wanted to go over a couple of different colors and mixes, just so you had a better idea. If you've never mixed paint before, you can ask questions in the follow-up closing Zoom class about painting. If there's something that maybe you're curious about that I haven't included, this is just really very basic. But I hope that you really liked this Celluclay project, and then come back to this video to paint your clay cupcake and your final bowl project with your homemade air dried clay if you forget how to mix the color. Otherwise, you can always look up how to mix any color of the rainbow on the internet. Okay? All right, thanks for making art with me.